Hey guys, it's your boy Wolfie. Today we're going to be going over rotations. It's definitely one of the most popular questions I get on my stream. Unfortunately, there's no easy answer. It's more of a flexible checklist that's very similar amongst all roles, but still is pretty different for all roles. So I am going to do my best to explain this on this video, and I hope it helps. And if you guys have been enjoying the content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, the like button, and the little bell notification. You can also stop by my stream, which will show up on the screen with all my other social media links. I'd appreciate it. And with that, I'm going to go straight into the definition of what a rotation is. A rotation is basically when you leave your lane to help somewhere else, or put pressure somewhere else. If you leave solo lane to rotate to the enemy back camps, that's still applying pressure. That's taking away farm. That's a rotation. Whether you're rotating the middle, stopping a gank, or ganking middle, or even just sending the middle back. You can even rotate to mid camps as a solo lane. That's still a rotation. It still helps. It still applies pressure. It takes responsibility off of other people. That's what a rotation is. The goal for a rotation is to take your gold and your strength, applying it to another part of the map to hope it gives your team an advantage in some way, shape, or form, or alleviates a stress or pressure that the enemy team is doing. So let's say you guys are losing middle and dual lane and they're invading your red buff. You never know that a rotation from solo lane might just win the whole fight. That 5v4 might turn the whole game around. You might win that 5v4 and take Gold Fury. All of a sudden you guys are either even or winning, depending on if the enemy solo laner rotates on time too, right? That's why rotations are great. They take your lead and put them somewhere else. Rotations are more important than KDA because they take your KDA strength and apply it to somewhere else. If you keep your strength and your gold only in your lane, you can still lose everywhere else in the map. That's why you have to learn how to rotate. Now that that's over and done with, we can get into the hidden resource of all MOBAs. Time. Everything you do in this game costs time. You're always trying to manage your time to get the most out of it. Now I know I'm losing some of you on this one, but don't worry, I got you guys. You ever notice how your solo laner sits between the tier 1 and tier 2 towers and farms the waves there instead of just being in the lane? And you're like, why would he do that? It's just safer to be in the lane. Well, the reason they do that is because normally in the lane, the minions meet up too fast and you don't have enough time to rotate around. So what they do is they stand between the tier 1 and tier 2 to clear the wave, so they have enough time to go either into the jungle, fight the jungle, or gank middle, or even rotate just from mid camps, and they can do that before the minions meet up in the middle of their lane, so they can miss the lowest amount of XP possible, or in the best situation possible, lose no XP. They're creating more time for themselves by farming in between the tier 1 and tier 2s. Now that creates a risk where the team can rotate on him and kill him. But that gives the rest of your team time and an opportunity to go take Gold Fury, as long as they know about it early enough, which is why warding is important. But as you can see, there's an importance of time, because if they commit their time to gank the solo lane, they physically don't have enough time to get to Gold Fury before you kill it. Do you see the point? Now that we understand what a rotation is and the importance of time as a resource, we're gonna go look at a game with the role that we consider the king of rotations, the support. Now, I had a game last night where I had an incredible Geb who just played really well. Clearly he made rotations. It was a ranked game. He's not perfect. None of us are perfect. But I want to point out how much good he did in this game. The moment I played that game, I said to myself, I knew it in the back of my head, he is going to be the star of this video because he played so well. All right? So we're going to go into this real quick. First of all, in the beginning of the game, the dynamic is different because we got first blood. Right? He punishes Ullr for too aggressive play. So now the Geb should know in the back of his head he doesn't have to rotate to middle because middle already has pressure. His job should be to keep pressure in dual lane so the Ares doesn't rotate, to reduce the amount of variables in middle. He gets ganked, so we counter rotate. Now we can do this because we're ahead in middle. The Uller can't because he's behind. Notice how the Geb comes back to lane instead of going straight to middle. He gets his solo farm, he's happy. Right? He stays until the Cupid gets back, he makes sure he can farm safely, and then he backs. Right? Now what he should be doing is going to middle because red buff is spawning. Where is he? In middle, because red buff is spawning, and they have a very deadly combination in middle, especially if the Ares decides to come to middle. So he comes over, he never really walks in lane. He hides here just in case they want to play too aggressive so we can get a kill. Very smart. After he realizes they're backing off, he decides it's time to leave. Most supports would think, oh, it's time to three-way split red buff. But he obviously seen the previous video and knows that you don't want a three-way split if you don't have to. Kudos to the Geb. He starts heading over to dual lane. Oh, he sees the Ares. He sees that the Ares is trying to rotate on top of us, or that they're trying to three-man collapse on us since the Anubis is dropping an ability and they're walking towards him. So he immediately puts pressure on this Ares to stop the Ares from going forward. He doesn't come over to try to get XP, he comes over to be the shield between us and the enemy team. Great job, Geb, that's fantastic. Now he comes in to get his reward, which is basically XP in the lane that he helped defend. Thank you, Geb, we appreciate it. Immediately after this, he knows it's time to leave. He starts heading over to dual lane because purple buff is coming up. He sees the Ares and knows off the bat that he doesn't have to be in dual lane right away because they're not invading purple. So we take the oracles. He heads over to duo just to make sure and drop a ward. He understands that there's things going on, so he doesn't stay over there to get XP. He immediately leaves because he knows he needs to put pressure. Now, I didn't even notice what was going on, but the Ares backed, and he sees we're fighting in middle. So he immediately goes in on middle and tries to put some pressure. Granted, he misses his ability, but it's fine. Right? We don't get the kill because he missed, but you know, you're not always going to land your abilities. Now, the big kicker is that he noticed mid-fight, he understood that we weren't killing that person. He didn't overextend, he didn't put too many resources. He knows he has to back, and the prize for this is him wasting his time. But he noticed that solo lane was fighting at the same time. So not only did he not split the purple buff, he went to middle to help me on a fight, and he immediately sees that solo lane is in another fight and needs to help them. He immediately goes over instead of trying to get extra farm and ganks the lane. Tanks the tower so they can make sure that they kill the Amaterasu. And good thing he came over because the Ares is now coming over. Now, the Geb gets out by the skin of his teeth, right? A little. But if he wasn't there, the Zonqui might have died. Right? Now the Geb can pretty much go anywhere he wants because we're ahead and we have pressure. He decides to poke his face in the middle, and again he sees that we're two-way splitting the red buff already, and he doesn't three-way split. Amazing. He goes to the back camp and basically solos it, right? The rat's going over to right to try to put some pressure, while the Gebs come in the middle so he can two-way split some farm. As you're supposed to. But instead, sees on a ward. This man map awareness is absolutely insane. MVP easy. He sees that they're trying to gank his Cupid, right? He immediately rotates over, right? And just the fact that he's here gives his Cupid space to farm. He's standing on a ward, and they know he's there, but it's okay. He doesn't have to go in because his Cupid is able to farm. Just him being there is putting pressure. As you can see, just from looking at this game, this Geb is going all around the map, and it's not for his own personal gain, it's for his team. He's creating pressure, he's creating a wall between his team and the enemy team, and he's helping people out. He's putting his strength to help lanes rather than just looking for farm, which is what a rotation is. A rotation is to help the lane get ahead. It's not just for you to get extra farm. This Geb was easily MVP. He did so many plays that whole game, but we're not going to sit here and go through his whole game. I just wanted to show that he not only decides to not rotate when he knows he doesn't have to, but he also decides to rotate and give up his own farm to make sure to put the rest of his team ahead. That was phenomenal play, and that is exactly what you should be doing as support. So like I was saying earlier, it's not really a when to rotate, it's a checklist, right? So does middle need my help? No. Does duo need my help? Yes, stay in duo. Okay, cool. Does duo need my help? No. Does middle need my help? No. Does jungle need my help? No. Oh, they're fighting on solo lane. Away, my people need me.
Have no fear, you're safe. Now that I am here, that is.
That's what you need to do. That's how you play. That Geb is a perfect example of what you should do. He manages his time. He's paying attention to jungle buffs. He's paying attention to who's splitting waves. He's paying attention to who needs help. That's what you do. Now the trick is applying this new knowledge to other roles while morphing it to fit that role, right? So you have a checklist. You know there's no guaranteed time to rotate, but you got to think about what your goals are in that lane, right? Unfortunately, every other role really needs to focus on farm. You don't have the luxury to fall as far behind as support does for the sake of rotating. So you have to have goals for when you're rotating, right? And as the famous line goes from F dot, you gotta get the stuff after the stuff. The kill itself isn't worth much. It's what you get from the kill. Either you're relieving pressure so your lane can farm, or you're putting pressure so you can invade buffs, or take Gold Fury, or take Fire Giant, Pyro, or push towers. You gotta get the stuff after the stuff. The kill itself doesn't matter. You can send the person back to base and it's okay. It's what you're getting after you put the pressure. It could be that you're just making enough space so your team finally gets control over their own red buff again. Maybe they were losing red buff on cooldown because they just kept getting invaded and they just needed solo lane to rotate over, and now they're starting to get their red buff. That counts as stuff after the stuff. That's what you have to look for. That's what's worth losing some farm over on your lane. Now there's small little tips and tricks that people use, like proxying in solo lane, middle getting Doom Orb, etc, etc. It's things like that that make this easier, but that's your goal for stuff. You can't just sacrifice all your farm to rotate all the time, or you're gonna fall behind. It doesn't work. There's also a secret rotation that most people don't know about, and it's understanding that you are behind and someone else is ahead, and you rotate over because you can no longer 1v1. You cannot stay in that lane. Every time you're in that lane, you're dying anyway. So what you do is you take your minimal amount of power and you apply it to somewhere else to put that pressure. Maybe you catch them off guard, and maybe that other lane carries you with just enough damage to get that kill before the enemy gets to rotate. Sometimes you gotta like switch it up and pull something, but that's still a goal in mind. And that's honestly the easiest way to come back, is leaning on your teammates, because it's a 5v5 game. That's the goal. Now I hope this video helps. I hope this little checklist idea and showing you someone's rotations helps. I know I can't go over every single role and show you video from every role, or else we'd be here for 45 minutes and we don't have time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that.
So thank you guys very much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, please like, follow, subscribe, all the stuff. Stop by the stream. I don't know. But this video was very hard to make. I hope it helps you guys. You guys have a good one. Thank you guys very much for watching. Deuces!